Have you ever looked at the person next to you? Someone who loves you, someone who shows up, someone who is trying, and felt a quiet, almost shameful thought pass through you. Is this really it? Not because anything was wrong, not because they hurt you, but because somewhere underneath the relationship you actually have, there's a ghost of a relationship you were supposed to have, a feeling you were promised, a person who was going to make everything make sense the moment they arrived, and the one in front of you, real, imperfect, present, keeps not being that person. Most people never say this out loud, because it sounds ungrateful, because it sounds like a you problem, because admitting it means confronting something uncomfortable about the story you've been living inside of. But I want to name it directly. You were taught, from the time you were old enough to watch a movie, or read a book, or listen to a love song, that somewhere out there is a person who was made for you. Specifically, cosmically, that love, real love, the kind that counts, feels like recognition, like coming home, like the missing piece finally clicking into place. And if you haven't found that, or if what you found doesn't feel like that, then either you haven't found them yet, or you chose wrong, or something in you is broken. That story has done more damage to more relationships than any affair, any argument, any incompatibility ever could. And I want to dismantle it completely today. Not to make love smaller, to make it real. Let me show you how deep this goes. The soulmate myth isn't ancient. It feels ancient. It feels like it's woven into human nature. But the version most Americans carry around was largely constructed in the 20th century. Hollywood codified it. The romance novel industry monetized it. Spotify playlists reinforced it, and social media turned it into a performance. The perfect couple, the perfect moment, the perfect caption that proves you found the one. The data underneath all of this is not romantic. Divorce rates in America hover around 50%. But that number doesn't capture the more invisible epidemic, the people who stay in relationships that feel like slow suffocation, because leaving would mean admitting the story didn't work out. The people who spend years waiting for their partner to become the person they were sure they'd married. The people who leave perfectly good relationships chasing a feeling that no relationship can sustain indefinitely. And then there's the loneliness of the search itself. The person who is 34 and single and terrified that the window is closing. The person who has been on 400 first dates and walks away from each one with the same quiet deflation. The person who meets someone wonderful and talks themselves out of it because the spark wasn't immediate enough, the feeling wasn't cinematic enough, the story didn't start the way stories are supposed to start. We are suffering, quietly and constantly, from a belief in something that doesn't exist. And the cruelest part is that the belief feels like hope. Plato wrote a myth, and it is a myth. He knew it was a myth. He was using it as a thought experiment about human beings originally existing as complete creatures, whole and spherical, until the gods split them in two. And ever since, each half wanders the earth searching for its other half, the one that will make them whole again. It's a beautiful story. It's also the source of some of the most profound suffering in the history of human relationships. Because if love is the reunion of two halves, if the right relationship makes you whole, then the wrong relationship or the absence of a relationship means you are half a person, incomplete, waiting, fundamentally lacking something that only another human being can provide. And no relationship can hold that weight. Not one, not ever. The philosopher Alain de Botton has spent decades writing about love and relationships with a clarity that is almost uncomfortable. He says that we have replaced religion with romanticism, that in a secular age, we have transferred all the expectations we used to place on God onto a single other person. We expect our partner to be our best friend, our intellectual equal, our greatest passion, our emotional anchor, our adventure companion, our home. We expect one person to be everything. And then, we are surprised when they are just a person. He writes that we are, most of us, terrible at choosing partners. Not because we are foolish, but because we choose based on feeling. And feeling, in the early stages of love, is neurologically indistinguishable from obsession. The brain in early romantic love looks, on a scan, almost identical to the brain in the grip of addiction. The chemicals are the same. The compulsion is the same. The distortion of reality is the same. We call that feeling love. We use it to make lifelong decisions. And then we wonder why the decision feels different 5 years later, when the chemicals have settled, and the actual person is standing in front of us. This is not cynicism. This is biology. And understanding it doesn't kill love. It saves it from something that was destroying it. The Stoics had almost nothing romantic to say about love. And that is exactly why they were right about it, in ways the romance industry never will be. Epictetus, who was a slave, who understood better than almost anyone what it means to have the things you love taken from you, said this: "The goal is not to need your external circumstances to be a particular way in order to be at peace, including your relationships. Not because love doesn't matter, because love that is built on need, on the belief that this specific person is the only possible source of your completeness, is not love. It's dependency dressed in beautiful language. The Stoics would say, you cannot control whether someone loves you. You cannot control whether they stay. You cannot control whether the feeling persists or changes or disappears. What you can control is who you are inside the relationship, the quality of your attention, the integrity of your commitment, the daily choice to show up." Now I want to bring in someone who understood love not as a philosopher but as a scientist. Helen Fisher spent decades studying romantic love using brain, imaging, anthropology, and evolutionary biology. And what she found dismantled the soulmate story from a completely different direction. Human beings, she discovered, are not built for one love. We are built for love as a system. Attraction, romantic love, and long-term attachment are three distinct neurological processes, each with its own chemistry, its own timeline, its own function. They don't always occur together. They don't always last together. And the expectation that they should is a cultural imposition on a biological reality that was never designed that way. What this means in practice: the intensity you feel at the beginning of a relationship is real. It is also temporary. Not because the relationship is wrong, but because the brain literally cannot sustain that state. It would be incompatible with functioning as a human being. What comes after the intensity is not the consolation prize. It is the actual relationship. The quieter, more durable, more honest thing that either gets built through attention, through conflict, through choice, or doesn't. The people who understand this don't spend the middle years of a relationship mourning the early years. They build something in the middle years that the early years never could have contained. Esther Perel, the therapist and writer who has probably done more than anyone alive to change how modern people think about long-term relationships, says something that lands differently the more you sit with it. We expect from one person what an entire village used to provide: community, belonging, witness, passion, security, adventure, growth, comfort. One person. And when that person cannot be all of those things simultaneously, and they cannot, no one can, we interpret it as evidence that we chose wrong. That the right person would do it effortlessly. That somewhere, the soulmate is waiting. And so we leave, or we stay and feel quietly cheated, or we find pieces of what we need outside the relationship and feel guilty about it. None of these is the answer. The answer is the thing nobody in the romance industry wants to sell you. A relationship is not something you find. It is something you build, continuously. Between two imperfect people who have decided, in full knowledge of each other's incompleteness, to keep building anyway. That is not a lesser love than the soulmate myth promises. It is a greater one. Because it is chosen, every day, without the guarantee. Here's what this means for you in practice, not in theory, in the actual texture of your actual life. If you are single and searching, stop looking for the feeling of recognition. Start looking for someone whose values align with yours, whose way of moving through conflict you can respect, whose presence on an ordinary Tuesday makes ordinary Tuesday worth being inside. Chemistry matters. It is not sufficient, and it is absolutely not a sign from the universe. If you are in a relationship that feels like it has lost its spark, understand that the spark was never meant to be permanent. The question is not whether the feeling is what it was. The question is whether you are choosing this person, whether there is enough honesty, enough respect, enough willingness to grow in the same direction, whether the quiet version of this love, the one that doesn't feel like a movie, is still something you want to build. If you have left relationships in search of something more and found that the something more eventually became its own version of ordinary, you already know the truth that this script is pointing at. The feeling doesn't live in the right person. It lives in the early stage of any person. And what you do after that stage is the entire question. And if you are carrying the grief of a love that ended, a person who felt like the one, a relationship that broke in a way that still hasn't fully healed, I want to offer you this. The fact that it ended does not mean it was wrong. It does not mean you failed. It does not mean the next one will feel less. Love is not a finite resource that gets depleted by loss. Every real love you have lived through has made you more capable of love, not less. There is a line from Rainer Maria Rilke, writing in 1904 in a letter to a young poet, that I want to leave you inside of. He wrote about love not as a merging, not as a completion, but as something almost opposite. He said the highest form of love is two people appointed to guard the solitude of the other. Two people who stand close enough to be known and far enough apart to remain themselves. Not two halves becoming one. Two whole people choosing each other while remaining whole. That image has never left me because it removes the desperation from love. If you are already whole, if you were never half a person waiting for rescue, then love stops being something you need and starts being something you choose. And chosen love is the only kind that can last, because it doesn't depend on the universe having made a plan. It depends on you waking up and deciding again. The soulmate doesn't exist. And the love that becomes possible when you stop waiting for them, the love that is chosen rather than fated, built rather than found, renewed rather than assumed, that love is more real, more durable, and more beautiful than anything the myth ever promised. You were never half a person. You were always whole. And somewhere, there is another whole person who is also not waiting for fate, who is just living, fully,